Let me guess, you've probably read One Dark Window and maybe The Night and the Moth, and you want to dip your toes in deeper to the best subgenre of all time? Perfect, you're in the right place because I consider myself a connoisseur of sorts of all things gothic fantasy, and I'm going to give you some beginner gothic fantasy book recs that I believe are perfect to introduce you to the genre. I like to recommend these books in particular because they're not necessarily scary, but they all have very well done gothic atmospheres that will draw you in from the very first page. If you love Rachel Gillig's work, then I would highly suggest you pick up In the Veins of the Drowning by Kaylee Cassidy because this book also has a stunning, haunting, breathtaking gothic atmosphere, but it is not scary at all in my opinion, and this book is also very romance forward if you're into that. This is one of the most romantic books that I have ever read, and it follows a monstrous siren who is forced to enact a blood bond with a king from a neighboring kingdom in order to save their lives. But this bond deepens the simmering connection that was already between them, and it causes the line between duty and desire to blur. Also, a shout out to this book for having the most painful yearning intention I read, I think, in all of 2025, and also having some of the most addictive, beautiful, ethereal writing that I have ever read. Like, reading this book legitimately felt like my soul was being pulled out of my body via siren song. Next up, we have The Sacred Space Between by Kaylee Reed, and this is like a medieval gothic vibe that, again, this book is not scary whatsoever, like not even a little bit, but it does have this kind of like medieval moody setting that is just absolutely perfect. So this follows our FMC, who is an iconographer for her abbey, and she's been tasked with creating a new icon for an exiled saint who wants absolutely nothing to do with her, only to slowly uncover while she is at the exiled saint's house that the abbey is full of corruption and has actually been stealing memory magic from these exiled saints. This book is phenomenal, and it really beautifully tells the story of two people working through trauma, deconstructing indoctrination, fighting for justice, and it also has one of the most beautiful and pure love stories that I have ever read. Next up, we have The Magnificence of Death by Rhea Rainwater. Again, not a scary book, just truly a stunning, moving, heartbreaking gothic tale that will absolutely stick with you forever. This story follows our FMC, who's been cursed with immortality, and she forms an unlikely alliance with our MMC, who, yes, you guessed it, is in fact Death himself, in order to break her curse. And the reason that they are coming together to do this is because Death has finally come to collect what he believes is his due, and that is her soul. He wants to reap her soul. This book is multi-POV as well as multi-timeline, so we get to see their 100+ year long relationship and how it came to be. Truly, this is one of my favorite books of all time, but enter carefully because this is the most I've ever cried reading a novel, I think, in my entire life. Like Exhibit A, I was absolutely inconsolable. This is a beautiful love letter to history, what it means to live, what it means to love, how sometimes when you truly love someone, you will give up your own happiness and desires so that they can have a chance at the life they deserve, and just so much more. And finally, moving on to A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, which is another one of my favorite books of all time. And I will say this is definitely darker from the other books I mentioned, and I would consider this potentially slightly unsettling, but again, this still isn't scary. It's still not horror in my opinion. This is a Dracula retelling told from the perspective of his first wife in a series of letters that she has written to him after he's been unalived, and no, it's not a spoiler, it's how the book starts. This book has some of the most stunning writing I have ever read in my entire life, and it is also really a beautiful story of strength, taking your power back from an abuser and showing how it really is never too late to fight for yourself. Have you guys read any of these? Let me know in the comments.